licensing, which is our main focus today. So listen, if you have questions about your driver's license, call. Make sure that you call when we open the lines. But before that, send them through using the hashtag JoySMS on Twitter or on our WhatsApp number, which is 055 1111 997. Okay, today is about you. So whatever your questions are, get them ready. We'll get you answers. We all want to be clear of what we're supposed to do so that our roads can be safer and we can all be safer drivers. Okay, so life is go go go. We know that, and of course it's hard to make time for the things that really count. So thank God for ABSA, because they won't let banking get in your way. That's why with ABSA's digital channels you can bank when, where and how you want, so you can focus on what and who is important to you. Banking has never been easier. Transfer funds into your savings account, pay your old school union dues and your DSTV subscription, and so much more with a click on your phone. Get things done simply with ABSA's digital channels. That's Africanacity, that's ABSA. Terms and conditions apply. Go to absa.com.gh for further details. Now, Airtel Tigo would like to announce to all of you, their cherished customers, that all unregistered SIMs will be permanently disconnected effective 31st May 2023, in line with NCA's directive. Now, customers who are yet to complete their SIM registration are entreated to visit the nearest Airtel Tigo shop immediately with their Ghana card to avoid permanently losing their numbers. What's more, you get up to 5 gigabytes of free data instantly after your registration is completed, so get registered now. Airtel Tigo, life is simple. Okay, Mr. Semevo, thank you so much for your patience. We're glad you could make it today. And you know, DVLA has become topical recently, and that is a good thing, because these are opportunities for us to educate the general public on what they're supposed to be doing. And so thank you again for coming. Licensing is our focus today, and I think we generally understand the rules. In order to drive in this country, you must have a driver's license. You must be a certain age in order to get the driver's license, and to get it you must meet certain criteria physically and so forth. Now, once you have that license in your pocket, let us start with some clarity for those who might have missed our last conversation, where there was a letter that went out creating a bit of uncertainty and confusion about what the rules are. For a holder of a driver's license, as you drive around, if you are stopped by the police and asked to produce your license and it's not with you at the time, what happens?
All right. Good morning to you and your listeners and viewers. The law is very clear on production of driver's license. Now, once you have obtained a driver's license, that's your permission to use the road and other public places. And therefore, you are required by law to produce the license and the original copy of the license for inspection if the police officer requests so. The law is also clear that any police officer could request your license for inspection. However, when it comes to retaining that license for further investigation, it should be of the rank of sergeant or above. So that is clear. There are cases where we understand that you may be driving and you are just switched vehicle and you left your license in the other vehicle, or you change your bag, your dress, and you might have left the license. The law also gives some discretion or option where if you have left your license and depending on the circumstances, the police may give you 24 hours to produce that. So there is a sort of balance in the production of the license. If you don't have it, and depending on the circumstances, then you may be given the 24 hours to produce it. So if, assuming you are in an accident, for instance, definitely you are going to go back to the police station to continue some processes with the police. So if you don't have it immediately, they may ask you to produce it. Where maybe you are on a journey, and let's say you left Accra to Kumasi, you will reside in Kumasi. The police may say take the license to a particular police station for inspection, because they may communicate among themselves. So those are the circumstances.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for the clarity. I think when we had the last conversation, the lawyers were insisting that if you read the whole law together, I think paragraph C or D actually suggests that this presenting your license 24 hours later is not really a discretionary
It's more
matter.
of an option.
The suggestion of the lawyers is that that's what must happen. If you don't have the license, that you must have 24 hours to produce it, because that fourth paragraph actually says that it's either presenting there or 24 hours later.
So you see that the law always will set a certain condition, and at a certain point, if you read it totally together, that is actually the understanding you get. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, I, for example, today completely forgot my wallet at home, which means that I had to borrow my colleague's driver's license in order to read the wording on it, because I want to ask you about some of the things on the actual card, the license card. So if I'm stopped today by the police, I hope they understand the law and I'll have 24 hours to present my license. But okay, so I have my colleague's license in my hands now. Very scary passport picture. On the front of it, it has his name, date of birth, what class of license it is. It says class B, and then there's date of issue. His nationality is there, the license number is there as well, reference number, and then it has date of issue and expiry date. My colleague's license expires in 2026, March 2026, so he's got a good 3 years before his license expires. But on the back, it says that in the bottom right corner, it says second renewal, 26th of March 2024.
Okay.
Now, this is an easy thing to miss, especially because on the front it tells me the expiry date, and when I turn to the back, the first, I don't know, maybe 4/5 of the space is for stuff that is boilerplate. You see it on every license. So my first inclination would not be to expect some specific information pertaining to me, the holder of the license, on the back.
Okay.
But there is this date here, second renewal. Please explain to us what the difference is between the renewal and the expiry date.
Okay. So let me just state that for every driver's license, the front page states things relating to the restrictions, the person holding the license. However, interpretation of some of those are behind the license. So you mentioned the class, for instance. The interpretation of that class will be behind the driver's license. So definitely in holding the license, we encourage the holders to also turn the back and get to understand what they have. Now, in the law, the driver's license is issued for 6 years. However, every 2 years, you are required by law again to validate the license. So behind it, you see first renewal, second renewal, but the 6 years is taken care of on the front page of it.
With the expiry date.
With the expiry date. So in the 6th year, we then will replace the license, and what we do also is that a new photograph of the holder will be taken, because every 6 years, because people change physically after some time. Now, if people recall the previous license we had, we didn't clearly indicate whether the dates were renewal dates, so there was a lot of confusion. The feedback led to us improving the date or the information on it. So if you take the license and you turn the back, clearly you see your first renewal date, you see your second renewal date, and then the 6th renewal is the front, and that makes up for the 6 years. So we have a document that has even been developed to break down all this and even the symbols that are on the license. So take that license you are holding now. You see two symbols on it. You see a spectacle, and you see a symbol that looks like an automatic shift.
It has an A with a circle around it.
Exactly. Now, what this means is that should you see any of these symbols on the front page, and usually it will be put above your photograph, should you see any of that, it means that you have a restriction. So assuming I am to drive with the aid of glasses, the symbol of the glasses will be printed on top of my of my picture. Then I will have to turn the back and get interpretation for that symbol. Yes. So we have had cases where people said, you have restricted me to automatic only. But definitely if the symbol is not printed above your image, then there's no restriction. Yeah. So we encourage people to read both the front page and then the back of the license. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because I am of at least average intelligence and education.
Yeah.
And until you just explained these two symbols, the glasses and the A, I was looking at this license and assuming that my colleague has been restricted.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there's nothing to logically explain what you just explained to me. I wonder whether maybe DVLA would be interested in perhaps some redesign of the license, just repositioning a few things, adding a bit of explanation, just so that what people see makes a bit more sense to them. Alternatively, can you maybe improve the handover process so that it will come with some instructions? You know, your staff will explain certain basic things to every person who is receiving a license from them. Because I didn't get an explanation of renewal dates when I was given. And I got great service from your staff, by the way. Let me commend them. But nobody explained renewal dates to me. Is that something you
So that is something
consider?
we've actually taken on board. And soon you will see the document I was just talking about accompany every license that goes out to the holder. But in the process of restriction, so if you are to wear glasses, if you are restricting you to automatic vehicle, you are told. Because in the process, if we are not testing you with the manual gear vehicle, immediately you are told that you will be restricted to automatic vehicle because that is what you use for the test. However, if you use the manual, it is easy to switch to automatic, so you don't have any restriction. If you are going to be restricted to use glasses because you have gone through the eye test and that has been determined, we tell you. But of course, it is also okay to add more information to educate the public. So definitely we are going to improve that document and start giving it out to our clients. Yeah.
Okay. If you just joined us, we're talking to Kafui Semevo. He's the Director of Driver Training, Testing and Licensing at the DVLA. And of course, he's helping us understand everything to do with licensing, and he's ready for your questions as well. Okay, use the hashtag JoySMS, send them through, and then later when we open the phone lines, please call us and let's get your issues addressed. Now, one of the questions I had when we told everybody about today's show was from somebody who lives abroad. He did a driving test some years ago. He's a qualified driver. He has a Ghanaian license, but while he's been away, the license expired. He's been driving in the country where he's living, so he is still a capable driver. When he returns to Ghana, is he going to have to start from scratch in order to get a whole new license from DVLA?
No, he doesn't have to, except in a case where the license he has been declared invalid. So you remember we had a booklet license that looked like the passport.
Yes.
And then we switched to the card.
Right.
Now, if you had that document and you were not migrated into the new system, then unfortunately we cannot process your old document. So what will happen is that in that case, if he is driving where he is, and he has a license from that jurisdiction, the law permits us to recognize those licenses, if they are valid and genuine, to convert them into the Ghanaian license. So he has that option. For instance, if he was not driving and he came back to Ghana, then he will be required to start the process and acquire, because for that long time he would have been declared a dormant driver.
Right.
So we want to test and see whether your competences and your knowledge are still same. So those are the opportunities available to.
So would he have to go and start from driving school and come all the way through, do driving lessons?
So in this process, we will have some discretion, because we will have records to show that you had a license before. So then we will have to look at it and say, okay, you may not have to go to driving school, but you have to do the test.
The test.
Yes. So we'll start from the test and then we take you through. Once you're successful, we'll give you the license. Yeah.
Let's talk about the test. What does it entail today?
All right. So for you to obtain a driver's license, the test comes in two folds. We have the medical examination, and then we have, which is also a test, and then we have the driving test itself. Let me first of all start from the medical. The medical, for now, we are requesting everybody to do an eye test at the DVLA accredited eye centers. Now, when you finish that, then there's a need for physical fitness. So we do the physical examination, and we are also supposed, in our interaction with you, declare to us by law whether you have any disability, any disease that may impair your driving abilities or may cause danger to other road users.
What sort of diseases are considered to be an impediment to driving?
Okay, so you may have epilepsy, for instance, and you may be aware that you have it. Yeah, you may have physical challenges that may be visible to us, and there are some that you may insist that you can still drive, but depending on the observation, we will require you to go for medical examination. But the medical examination is just an advice to help us make our final decision on whether you are capable of driving or not. Yeah, and we do it in a way that we don't want decisions to look discriminatory or to look safe because of your condition. We are rejecting you. So even because of that, we have developed guidelines for licensing persons with disability. We are currently training our officers on that. We will soon train the public on how and what the requirements are, so that everybody, the decision made is actually uniform, is standardized, and doesn't discriminate against anybody. Yeah. Now, the other thing is that when it comes to the driving test, we look at the theory test and then the practical test.
If you don't mind, if we can finish the medical exams, you've described the eye test. You've talked about
physical fitness,
fitness, which would then, of course, include any diseases and so forth that could affect your ability to drive. How about mental assessment? Is there any such thing?
There are few occasions where, in interacting with applicants, there is we will notice certain traces or characters that we cannot conclude that is, but will tell us that this person will have to see a psychiatrist, and those we refer. We've had I think 2 years ago we had somebody who was on some drugs, and then we requested the person to go for test at 37. The person knew, so the person didn't go immediately, waited for some time. He presumed that the effect of the medication would have gone down, right? But when they did the test, the doctor saw something and said, "I will call you again for a test." But they didn't give him an appointment, so they just called, and then he went. But meanwhile, he has used the drug again. So it was confirmed that he was on drugs. And in such cases, if you are put on treatment and you are helped to correct the behavior, and there is evidence that you have done so, then they will advise us and we can continue the process. The danger is that there may be people who have been licensed already, who are out there also in same situation, but we may not be able to identify them. And having followed some of your programs, I know that now we are paying some attention to mental health, and we need to intensify it because it's real. It's real.
I'm glad you look at it that way, because if there is no official test of mental, I mean, are they not even supposed to declare that they are of sound mind? Is that not a requirement?
Yes. So that declaration only affects them when you now have some evidence against them to say that you have this condition, but you did not declare to me.
So that's the only time it kicks in.
Exactly.
So in reality, we are not checking people's mental health before giving them driver's licenses at the moment.
No.
That might explain a lot of what we see on our roads. Wow. Okay, we're talking to Kafui Semevo, Director of Driver Training, Testing and Licensing at DVLA. We're learning all about the licensing process. Your questions are welcome. We'll be putting them to him shortly. I mean, so what is there a plan on the side of DVLA to somehow include a mental assessment, or is it not a realistic,
It is realistic, and that is not even the only condition. And there are some discussions ongoing now to identify which other tests should be added. So if you look at the reason we even reformed the eye test, for instance, there was some survey conducted that really pointed to the fact that, look, people were developing sight problems they were not aware of, because sight problems sometimes are not even painful.
Yeah.
So you may not even know. Yeah. And most of the conditions were conditions that we could save the sights. So then we decided that, look, let's reform it and get a specialist to do it. And therefore, there are other discussions ongoing. So where we have enough evidence to do certain changes, then it will come in. And, these things take a lot of stakeholder engagement, and processes must be the right processes before you start to do it. So we are having some discussions. When it gets to the time where we have to make decisions on those, we will. Yeah.
Okay. So you were going to move on to the driving test side of it.
So, like I said, the driving test, we have two tests: the theory test and then the practical test. The theory test, you are supposed to take the test, a theory test that covers your understanding of the road, the sharing of the road, the rules and regulations of the road, and then any other theoretical knowledge you have that we test. But what we do usually is that we have a team that will usually just, whilst you are on the road, pick behaviors that are wrong but are repeated, and we create situations around them. And interestingly, when you evaluate the outcome, you find out that people think that those behaviors are right. Yes. So this goes also to influence training, because once we see that, we also train our instructors to look out for this when they are training them, and then we train our examiners to also look out for that when they are being tested. Now, we have also tried to introduce more pictorial questions for people to understand the situations, analyze them before they respond, and that is also helping. And since we introduced that, we realize that the pass marks have gone up a bit. Yes, instead of the whole wedded something. What we are doing in that side of the test to improve it is that it's now totally English. It means that there are people out there who do not speak English, or who cannot read and understand the English, who are still driving, but are not able to access our service because of the language barrier. Such people, the question is, what would they be doing? How would they be getting the permission? Definitely, they may be ending up in the hands of fake people who, So what we are doing now is to respond to that problem by introducing 6 voice local languages over the test. So it's going to be in voice. We have Chi, we have Ewega, Dagbani, Hausa, Enzima. We are going to do the translation. We have developed
the voice will read the question, right?
Yes.
And the options or the possible answers for them to choose.
Exactly. Right. Now, even in the choosing, what we have done is that we are moving away from the use of mouse. So you just touch
the screen.
Yeah. You touch, and then your answer is submitted, and then your score is done. The practical side has been, to a large extent, subjective, because you are with
an instructor,
an examiner,
sorry,
who is making decisions on your performance. We are trying to reduce the subjectivity in there, so technology is being introduced. Now, you could say that move from point A to point B, and I will assess certain behaviors on that stretch. Whether you move from there or not, it is not easy to verify, especially if the examiner and the applicant have some come to certain agreements. So what we are doing is that we are defining the test routes. More modifications have been made. We have started the upgrade of our system now. Hopefully, we should start testing by July to see how it will go, and by September, we should fully have deployed the new system. Yes, so that is what we are doing in that area. What that also does is that we are also looking at our busy locations like Accra, Tema, Kumasi, where we have a number of examiners. So on your appointment, we can bring somebody from, let's say, Wager to test you in Accra.
Right.
We can bring somebody from Tema to test you in Accra, somebody from Accra to just to make sure that there is some level of trust and
impartiality,
exactly, and credibility in the testing system.
This introduction of languages is such a good idea, but this is something that DVLA promised to do a number of years ago. What caused the delay?
Okay, so we had to go through certain approvals to come to this. And unfortunately for us, just when we were getting to the end of the process, the COVID set in. So all parties had to relax. Now, we were doing the value for audit at the time when the COVID set in. So after COVID, it took some time for us to come back. But now we have the approval. We've started work. We are engaging with the Bureau of Languages to see how the translation can be done quickly. So we do the test, then we roll out the solution to ensure that everybody can now access. We even found out that the 6 languages, there are even more languages that have to be added. So we have now agreed to do it in phases. We do the first 6, see how it goes, what should be improved, then we can add on other languages.
Kafui Semevo is our guest. He's the Director of Driver Training, Testing and Licensing at DVLA. We're learning all about licensing today. Very, very interesting conversation, and we've already picked up so much new information. I'm sure you have too. If you have questions, please send them through. Use the hashtag JoySMS. When we come back from this break, we will be hearing from you. But we will also be asking that one question on our minds, especially if we watched that Corruption Watch documentary. We are very keen to know, is it still possible for someone to get a driver's license without going through one or all of the laid down legal procedures, as we saw happening in the documentary? Is it still possible for someone to beat the system? When we come back, answers to that and your questions.
Introducing the new Techno Spark 10 series. Enjoy a long-lasting 5000 mAh battery capacity plus 18 watts charging pad in an ultra-sleek 6.7-inch Full HD screen with a storage galore of 256 GB plus 8 GB. You can save every memory and never lose any. 32 megapixels glowing selfie camera and 50 megapixels AI rear camera. Get your Techno Spark 10 series. Visit the nearest Techno accredited shop and join the glowing selfie gang.
Ojam, why you make quiet like that?
Oh, Charlie, I go do some POP, give somebody where the cornice is not fine, cry.
I always they tell you, say, for decorative roses and cornices, the solution be interface. Them have different imported cornices and roses in different designs and shapes. Installing them be so easy, and it go give your customer the finishing he wants.
Ojam, take me go interface right now before I lose this customer.
Interface Limited is the leading supplier and installer of finishing input materials for the building and construction industry in Ghana. Call us on 0274-999999 or visit our website at
www.interfacelimited.net. Facebook Interface Limited GH. Instagram interface.limited.
Anytime is a good time to have a break. Introducing Munchie Anytime Crackers. It's perfect for break times, party times, movie times, and snack times. Savor the moment. Enjoy Munchie Anytime Crackers anytime. Munchie Anytime Crackers. It's light and tasty.
This outfit is FDA approved.
Say donut, 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 donut. Hey, donut, 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 donut. Donut, donut. Then come cotton donut. Donut, donut. Malaria syrup donut. Everybody follow nut sa malaria. A 3D till nut now. Oh, malaria chill. Oh, popo. What mean the day? I want the donut. A dabako. Donut. A damienu. Donut. A damiensa. Donut. No. Donut scatter malaria. Lonat, it scatter malaria.
A quality product from Blaze GVS Pharma. Yenshishemu hu se malaria wa umujam ansana wanum Lonat. Na nam yensearch na malaria no daso wo hwa ko hu dokota.
This advert is FDA approved.
Coffee in your cup and joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
You're welcome back. It's the Super Morning Show on Joy. A special birthday wish to Gladys of GRA North Kanishi is from Selassie, your husband, and your children, Seli, Sedem, and Sesi. Also, Pastor William Norte, happy birthday to you from Selassie and Gladys. All right, now our guest, of course, is Mr. Kafui Semevo. He is with the DVLA, and he's got all our answers to all our questions today. Stay tuned. We're going to get those last 3 questions answered before he takes his leave. But first, fun time for the kids means fun time with DSTV. DSTV is the home of the best kids entertainment with something exciting for children of all ages. And you know what the best part is? They get to learn while having fun. So give them premium enjoyment with shows like Cocomelon on Moonbug on DSTV channel 318, Paw Patrol on Nicktoons channel 308, Teen Titans Go on Cartoon Network channel 301, PL Masks Power Heroes on Disney Junior channel 309, and so much more. Reconnect or stay connected by dialing *759# to make sure your kids don't miss out on all the laughs. DSTV, it's your moment. Now let me ask you, are you a die-hard football fan who can't get enough of the beautiful game? Then you need to stay in the game with DSTV. With all the top leagues and tournaments from around the world, including the UEFA Champions League, the Premier League, and La Liga Santander, you won't miss a single moment of the action. Watch the best players in the world like Rashford, Benzema, Saka, Osimhen, battle it out on the field. Remember, the only football worth watching is on DSTV, so don't miss out on the excitement and stay in the game with DSTV. Get your DSTV decoder with 1 month family subscription for 269 Ghana cedis, or stay connected on *759# to enjoy it all. DSTV, it's your moment. Now let me tell you what Perez Chapel International is doing. It's the Supernatural Empowerment Summit 2023, SES 2023. Come and meet the revivalists, the heads of global denominations, and the kingmakers. This year, in Archbishop Ajinasari's 40th year in the miracle ministry and the 3rd Supernatural Empowerment Summit, expect life-changing insights for ministry and impartation for the next level. The hosting speaker is Archbishop Ajinasari. Other speakers are Dr. Robert Ampia Kofi, Apostle Dr. Eric Nyamiche, Reverend Dr. Stephen Wengam, Bishop Joseph Emakando from Zambia, Bishop Joseph Matera from the USA, Apostle Eve Castanu from Congo, and Apostle Abraham Gaji from Cote d'Ivoire. It's all happening on Monday the 22nd until Friday the 26th of May, from the evening session starting from Monday at 5:30 p.m. every day, and the morning session starting from Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. every day. The venue is Perez Chapel International, Jowulu Junction, right here in Accra, Ghana. For any information, call 0548 633 650. If you're abroad, call +233 548 633 650, or just go to sesummit.org. All right, now let's come back into the studio. Kafui Semevo, Director of Driver Training, Testing and Licensing at the DVLA, has been answering all of your questions, and we have 3 more to go. Mr. Lamte wanted to know why he was told by his insurance company that his driver, a 24-year-old, is not allowed to drive a Kia truck.
Okay, so before I respond to that question, let me take the opportunity to thank Samson for the encouraging words. Now, it means that the driver did not meet the age requirements for driving commercial vehicles. So I will read a section of the law that clearly states that if you look at regulations 37(1)(b), it reads, a person is disqualified from holding or obtaining a license to drive a commercial vehicle if that person is under 25 years of age. Now, in engaging the driver, you must look at the class of license, the class of vehicle the person is going to drive to one. Determine whether the class of license permits the person to drive that vehicle. The second thing is that, is the license valid? Then the person's age. Is the person of that age that permits the person to drive that vehicle? And in this case, for commercial, it is 25 years as of today. However, we are also noticing that with the ride-hailing companies, a lot more younger people are engaging in commercial driving activities. So if you take these people out, what will happen is that you are creating unemployment. So again, we have recommended for amendment of that law, and once the amendment comes, the age will be varied.
What was the thinking behind it? I mean, what is it that a 25-year-old has that a 23-year-old, may not have for driving a commercial vehicle?
This law was passed in 2012, and in most cases there may be some observations that were made, and to close the gap, some prescriptions may be made. But of course, laws are living documents. So once we notice that something should be amended, it will be amended, and that is why we've made that recommendation for the amendment. Yeah.
We've got 2 minutes to go, so 1 minute per question, I guess. Kweku wants to know whether those I describe as handicapable are able to get driving licenses. Those who might be amputees or blind in one eye. Yeah.
So depending on your physical condition, you may be permitted to drive if it is identified that some devices can be provided to aid your driving, and that will ensure that you are safe and other road users are safe.
Okay.
However, when it comes to vision, the position of the law is that you should have vision in both eyes to be able to drive.
I see. Is that unique to Ghana or?
Jurisdictions vary depending on the systems you have in place for monitoring. You may give some relaxation of the law, but I know that there are countries that you can have single vision and you are permitted to drive. But for Ghana, the law restricts us to both eyes.
Finally, Leo, who wants to know whether this policeman who scanned his driver's license with his phone and said an app is checking its validity, whether he was doing wagadrin or whether that exists.
So for now, the DVLA has not deployed any application, any app for verification of license. We are working at that, and when the time comes, we will let the public know. It will even be available for public themselves to even verify before they even go out there. So for now, no, we have not deployed any application for that purpose.
Leo, there you have it. And Kweku and Mr. Lamte, I hope your answers are helpful as well. We certainly have benefited so much from your presence with us, Mr. Kafui Semevo. Let's do more of these. You know, so many other areas that the public would love to be educated on. So let's see if we can arrange a few more of these conversations. Thank you so much. Mr. Semevo, of course, is the Director of Driver Training, Testing and Licensing at the DVLA. All right, then, my people, we're going to wrap this thing up right after these messages. Stay with
Say donut, 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 donut. Hey, donut, 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 donut. Donut. Everybody follow not sa malaria. A 3D till no not now. Oh, one toe malaria chill.